All right, up next I have Capricorn rising and sun. So for you guys, the Sagittarius full moon happening on May 23rd is taking place in your 12th house. And for you guys, I mean, it's very clear that this is like a 12th house full moon for you guys. I got the rebirth card in reverse and the death card, and the 12th house is very much in line with these elements where there is something ending in your life. And you might be feeling that around the time of this full moon. The 12th house is the last house of the zodiac. So it does bring with it the culmination of an ending, of something finalizing and wrapping up in our lives, and kind of going back to the drawing board of who am I now, or what am I after that experience? How has this impacted me? This rebirth card in reverse specifically talks about not seeing yourself as broken, not defining yourself by a loss, by something, by this thing ending your life, by the wound that it could be causing. 12th house is also very strongly linked to our past lives and our past in general, and how these things can be stored in our subconscious. And so often when things are ending, we can have this feeling of like the past. It's almost like the pain that we experience from that ending can trigger emotions and feelings from things that we've experienced in the past. So it can feel a lot like more this deep well of emotion rather than a singular experience. And so this card is talking about picking up the pieces, telling a new story, and finding home again. And so what I feel like is strong here is the element of telling a new story, not becoming defined by something not working out, or by something being lost, or by something from the past that you have lost, or that has ended. And so a lot around this full moon is how we define things, how we perceive things. It's a Sagittarius full moon, which is very much linked with Gemini in their ability to have a worldview or a schema or way of looking at the universe and how things function. And ultimately, I see this full moon as us realizing that there is some way of viewing the world that has been not actually helping us with what we're trying to do, with how we're trying to grow, with our manifestations. And it's up to us now to challenge our stories, to challenge the stories that we tell in hard times or in times of losses, because the extra information that we tack onto that, or the meaning that we make out of those experiences, will determine our next path, will determine how things manifest for us next, or how our life unfolds in the future. So it's very important to tailor the stories that we're telling ourselves to the life that we actually want to live, and make meaning out of things that can help enhance us positively, help enhance our self-concept without being delusional either. It's like, how can I extrapolate meaning out of this while also seeing what happened? Meaning that supports me, and meaning that helps me grow as a person, but doesn't tear me down and make me think poorly of myself. It's like we can look at things more objectively than that. And the reason I say that I feel like we've kind of been stuck in these entrenched ideas is because the ruler of this full moon is Jupiter, and Jupiter is at 29 degrees of Taurus, right next to Venus. 29 degrees of any sign is going to represent a crisis of that energy. And 29 Taurus is where we get stuck into a rigid mode of thinking. It's where we get overly attached to our comforts and how things have always been. It's where we are not wanting to change and adapt, even though that's actually really necessary and really healthy for us. And so this Taurus energy is in your 5th house of creativity, of personal expression, of pleasure, of joy, of children. So there's something in this area for you where you're meant to be tapping into your childlike essence, your joy and your pleasure for life. And maybe even defining your future self, your stories around how things are going in your life, or maybe how things have ended in your life in some way. How can you define them through the lens of pleasure and joy? And there may be certain, again, worldview or schema that we have that is preventing you from doing that. Like, oh, I have to take responsibility for this. I have to fix this. I have to make myself better. I've got to improve. And it's like, what if I saw the situation and thought about what meaning I could give it that would bring me more joy into my life, instead of having all those other factors come into play of having to be the best and do the most and take the responsibility and fix it and heal it. What if it's just like, no, I can work on these things, but also this is what this was teaching me, and this is what it's bringing me to, and I find a lot of joy and meaning in that. So how can we basically take a book that we're reading of our life and write it through the lens of another character that can't help but have love for us, that can't help but be confident in us, that can't help but have joy for us? What would that book look like if you rewrote it through that angle, through that lens? And yeah, okay, so let me talk about some of these cards that I'm seeing. So I pulled the Death card, like I mentioned. Actually, okay, I want to go back to these other cards. Okay, so first, I pulled the Magician in reverse and the Seven of Pentacles. These cards are really about you guys in many ways looking at things through the long-term view, but really not understanding how you're going to get there, not knowing how you can take advantage fully of your innate talents and your innate assets within yourself. So I feel like a part about this rebirth is transforming your view so that you can truly tap into all your talents and make a plan for how you can get to this long-term goal. Because I feel like you're headed here and you're seeing this big thing over here, and you need to align them. They're like a little disjointed. You need to align them by having a strong self-concept and a strong plan. A strong self-concept is knowing, what am I really good at? What would be easy for me? What would be joyful for me? And how can I align my actions in my life with those things so that I can actually get to what I want, instead of trying to force it through this other modality that it is so unnatural to me and it's going to be a lot harder. I might not even get what I want. So that's, first of all, like one of the really strong messages here of the overarching mission of this full moon. The other is around, I feel like, processing some of what has happened here. With the Death and the Nine of Cups in reverse, it feels like there's a disappointment, like something in your material reality ended or didn't come to fruition. And it's like, how do we find happiness from within? How do we detach from the strong, like, need to have this thing and generate our own inner happiness? Instead of getting happiness from the journey or from arriving somewhere, can we find happiness in the small things? Can we find joy? And we can, again, change our schema, our viewpoint, our beliefs about the world in order to make sure that we actually feel a lot of joy and pleasure from very simple things, from the process of things. The other two cards I got were the Devil and then the Temperance in reverse. So there's something here around your shadow self where you may be in another kind of Taurus energy of the fifth house, where there could be times where you're prone to excess as well, especially if you're not feeling happy, or if you're feeling like, again, something in your life has ended and you're upset about it. It's like trying to find happiness with consumption of some sort or excess of some sort and overindulging. And so that's something else I think that it's really important to be aware of, and to realign yourself with what matters to you, heal yourself so you're not looking for emotional satisfaction through unhealthy and imbalanced means. Yeah, and I think that actually has a lot to deal with Mars and Chiron on the North Node and Aries in your fourth house. This is a very sensitive point. Aries is very egoically sensitive. So it's like, if something goes wrong in our life, if our security is disrupted, I feel like this is you guys trying to find some kind of emotional salve, like something to make the wound heal better. And for some of you, this could relate to unhealthy coping mechanisms of, oh, my ego is hurt because I failed at this, or this thing didn't come to fruition, or this thing is ending. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn to eating too much, shopping too much, spending too much time online, on social media, whatever it is. And I feel like this full moon's trying to help you cope better emotionally so that you can, again, process what's happened, pick up the pieces, write a better story for your future, and tap into more of your potential through the lens of joy. So that's really what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn. I hope that makes sense. Before you hop off, I wanted to have you guys ask a question, and I'm going to pull a card that answers your question, maybe related to your manifestation or timing or advice. So go ahead and ask your question now. Pause the video if you need to. Your advice is peaceful resolution. So if there's something on your heart, if there's something about this transition, this ending that's really been sad for you, and if you've been telling yourself, like, let's say a relationship ending, you're telling yourself, I'm never going to meet anyone, I'm going to be alone, I have all these issues, don't identify with this wounding. Create a better story for yourself about what's possible for you, because there is a peaceful resolution coming. Things are going to become better. This moment will pass. You will get into that relationship or have that thing that you want. So if there is some kind of emotional transition or turmoil right now, you can trust that this is temporary and there is a peaceful resolution at the end of all this where you will get what you're looking for. So that's why I see Capricorn. 2 announcements. I'm offering medical and fertility astrology readings now. So if you're interested in either of those, they are temporarily on a discount, which you can check out in the description box down below. I also have an email list. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of these forecasts and get additional astrology support, you can subscribe to my email list in the description box down below as well. Don't forget to also comment if this resonates. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye.